Hey y'all, so I'm going to be doing my January wrap up, which sounds so crazy because I can't believe January is over. And yes, but it was a pretty good reading month, good start of the year, so I'm excited. I have my little coffee. Delicious. Alright, so let's get started. So the very first book of 2025 that I read was by the Edgar Allan Poe called Bernice. It was a very short story. It was a buddy read with my mom, so we both read it. So yeah, it was only 17 pages, y'all, but them 17 pages really creeped me out. Yes, it's centered on obsession and horror and tormented obsessive thoughts. The main character has like very tormented obsessive thoughts and a fixation on like teeth, and it was just very creepy, and I still think about it till this day. I'm just like, ugh. So yeah, I finished it in a day, and that was the first book of 2025. So I don't really think it's going to be in order at this point, but so I'm just going to go through the list basically. The next book I read was Mile High, and basically I finished this book. This was a carryover from 2024, and y'all, I wanted to love this book so much. I had high hopes, high expectations, but I already knew that there were people that were like, you either love it or hate this book, or in the other books in the series people like more than this book. And this book took me so long to finish. I was like, oh my gosh, I literally started this book August 5th, 2024, and I finished it January 2nd. So yes, I don't know really what it was. You kind of have to get into the vibe. Number two, I feel like a romance book that's just kind of a regular romance without any like dark romance or any like trauma or tragedy or something else in the book shouldn't be 400 pages. Like I really didn't understand why this book was 400 pages. Now the after series, those books are hefty. They're like 800, 600 pages. And I didn't really mind. Like it had a bunch of drama in those books. But this Mile High, I didn't really understand why it was 400 pages. Nothing was really going on. I mean, you had a little bit of forbidden love, but it wasn't even that deep in my opinion. Also, I feel like the author tried to do representation, and I was forgetting that the main character was black. I was like, what in the world? So I feel like she missed the mark on that aspect. I was imagining her as a sole white woman, but I did forget that she was indeed black. So that was another strike. But all in all, the Xander and Stevie, they had a really good chemistry. I think that's what saved the book, and that's why I gave it like 3 stars. But I just felt like this book was dragging on and on and on, and I was like, girl, please stop. But you have this bad boy NHL player, which is hockey. He has like this persona he has to uphold for his reputation to get more views and more like attention for the audience, but in his real life he's like a little absolute sweetheart. So that was really cute, seeing all these different layers of him, of Xander's. And then Stevie, she was just like very insecure about her body. And so yeah, that was just a little like, she was really sweet, very artsy, very quirky type. So yeah, but and y'all, it really hurt me because I don't really like to rate books really low, but I had to do it for this one, y'all. But I am intrigued. I do have a curiosity to read the next couple. You kind of see the next couple sprinkled in Mile High, so they do seem interesting, but it was just a no for me. But would I recommend you to read it? Yeah, but is it the best book in America? No, it was okay. That's why it's 3 stars. The next book I read was Light Lark. Now Light Lark was definitely a redeeming book for me. I really enjoyed Light Lark. I started it the 2nd of January, and I finished it on the 8th, which is pretty quick for me. I read really slow, so the fact that I read it in a week almost was pretty amazing for me. First of all, I really liked the cover of the heart, and yes, this was a really good easy to understand fantasy. I would recommend this series to new fantasy readers, or to people who don't really want to like be wrapped up into a big world or all these magic systems. Like you don't want a complicated fantasy. This is for you, but you still want that magic. This is for you. I gave this bad boy 5 stars. I enjoyed it so much. If you like the Akhtar series, if you like Shadow and Bone, you would definitely enjoy Light Lark. I'm definitely a grim girly. He reminds me of Rhysand from Akhtar, and he reminds me of the Darkling, which is my husband from the Shadow and Bone series. I said this is a 5-star book without any hesitation. I enjoyed this book. I like how it's a fast-paced fantasy and easy to understand. The tension, yeah, it wasn't really spicy, but the tension, okay, she did tension so good in here, and I just was addicted. I was hooked with the tension. I think I like tension even more than spicy. So yeah, you guys, I really like the plot twist. I did predict one, but the way that she orchestrated it, I didn't predict it, so it's pretty cool. And I also liked how intense and bloody the scenes were, and the environment and the setting. Like I really wanted Light Lark to be a real place. It was just so magical and just so creative, and so just man, I just really wanted to go there. And I have so many quotes that I saved. I really enjoyed Light Lark's. The next book I read I finished Finders Keepers. That was another carryover from last year. I started it December 18th, 2024, and I finished it January 11th, 2025, and it's Finders Keepers by Stephen King. This book was so thrilling, and I wish I would have read this book straight through without taking breaks. So I feel like I didn't even give the book the full justice that it deserved, but it was nearing the end of the year and I was like, okay, let me hurry up and read like a few quick books. So that was the issue, but nonetheless, it's a 5-star read for me. There are elements of the butterfly effect, and as readers, we can get carried away, and the books can change our hearts. And this was just like really bloody, very gory. It wasn't really horror; it was more so just like it was mainly like a crime novel, but it was just very dealing with readers, authors, and yeah, and it just got like really, really bloody, and it had like time jumps, and yeah. But yeah, this is part of the Bill Hodges trilogy. I didn't read Mr. Mercedes, which was book 1, but I plan to. But it's not like you'll be confused or anything like that. And then I'm like on my way to reading Holly's book, so that's really interesting. One good quote that I really enjoyed was poop don't mean poop, and also never so good as what you don't see right. And then another one was do fish think. I was like, do fish think? The next book I have is Cruel Queen. I started Cruel Queen on January 8th and finished it on January 13th. It was 200 pages, but it was really like 140. The other pages were like an excerpt to the next book, so in the series. So this is part of the Red Queen series, and this is like the prequel. You get some more backstory of Queen Corian and of Farley, so it's pretty interesting. I thought it was entertaining, and I love getting backstory after the fact, so I rated it 5 stars. Then I read Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. She's the same author that wrote If We Were Villains, which is on my TBR. So I don't know if it's on my TBR for this year, but it's on my Junimo TBR. And I started this book January 9th and finished it January 13th, and it was 144 pages, so it's like a cute little short story. If you don't like rodents, then I don't recommend this book for you. This was like, I had a lot of rodent scenes in here, and but either way, it's like a group of friends, a gang. It kind of reminds you of like Scooby-Doo, and they're like this gang, and the different characters with different personalities, and they always meet up at this graveyard area. That's like their meetup spot, and then they're like, what's going on? Something that they notice, and then they try to figure out from there like what's going on, and it just gets kind of creepy from there. But what happens in the graveyard stays in the graveyard, okay? So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's 5 stars. I could really tell her writing is very academic, and it goes into like the academic realm, and it's yeah, like a lot of the words add adds to my toolbox. So it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, that's why it took me a little bit more time to read as well. The next book I read was The Ushers by Joe Hill. If you did not know, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. So this is my first book by Joe Hill. And it was a buddy read with my mom as well. I started it January 18th and finished it on January 18th. It's literally 30 pages, but those 30 pages pack a punch, baby. This was wow. First of all, the cover is like so compelling. I really love the cover with like the neon and all of that. And I rated this 5 stars. You can tell the talent is in his blood, just like his father's. And so yeah, it's basically a young man who has escaped death twice, and you have these detectives trying to figure out like how do you keep escaping death? Like, are you involved in? Do you have some like secret information about these? Like, one was like a plane crash, like a train crash, and they're like, how did you know not to get on the train? And it just goes on and on and on from there, and then we figure out like, oh, okay, wow, okay. And the ending just had me like in shock. I was like, you didn't have to do me like that. But yeah, definitely 5 stars for that one. And then I read Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I'm really starting to like Ali Hazelwood's writing so much. Last year I read her short novellas, and they were so good. I was like, oh my gosh, her writing is so good. I've been sleeping. No wonder you guys aren't just hyping her up to hype her up. Like, I really love her writing. It's so hilarious. So this is like my first actual book by her. My first novel by her, and yes, I started it January 13th and I finished it January 21st. So once again, I read this pretty quick, which for my standards, this was like, so yeah, it's like a 400-page book. So, and I'm in school, so to me that was pretty quick. I was addicted to it, and when I was reading it on the bus to school, I literally was, my emotions, I could not hold it in. I kept on giggling and laughing. This book was so hilarious, so witty. I gave this baby 5 stars. You get like fake dating, you get she's a people pleaser and he can see right through her, you get academic rivals. So yeah, I said this book will live in my head and heart. Jack is my for real book boyfriend, like no games, no jokes. I couldn't stop giggling and laughing with this book, and I don't even care that it was a 400-page romance. Like, you really have to do it right if you're going to do a 400-page romance. Like, you have to do it right. She did it right, okay? I read this book pretty fast for being busy when I started it. I love how Jack was a BS detector. He saw right through Elsie, this one is definitely for people pleasers that need to start loving for themselves, and I enjoy all the layers in this book. The moral of the story is to always be your most authentic self, and as well to find your people that get you and love you for the real you. And the side characters are so memorable. The banter in here is so witty and quirky, and I love characters in STEM because I can relate to them. And I was also a sucker for the Twilight references, so if you like, don't be afraid or intimidated because it's about characters in STEM and science. Like, she does a good balance where even if you don't understand, you'll be okay, but if you do understand, that's just a little pat on the back. It just makes you kind of grin and happy, but it just has so many layers, and I devoured this book. I'm so enjoyed it. So happy that I read it. I was really hesitant to read it, but from the first page I was hooked. So yes, so that was a pleasant surprise. I really was, like I said, I'm really starting to like Ali Hazelwood, and I can't wait. I think she has another book coming out called The Deep End, which I'm very excited. I just have a lot of books from her that I want to read. What else? Then I read Home Again by Kristin Hannah. This was my first book by Kristin Hannah. My mom read another book by her and she enjoyed it, and I was like, oh, okay. So I decided to read this one. And yes, I agree. It's a tender, beautiful, told story of emotional growth, forgiveness, and possibility of miracles. And this is a really interesting, good second chance romance. I'm not even a fan of second chance romances, but this one did it once again. The humor in here was superb. I really enjoyed Angel DeMarco's personality. He was so funny. But then I fell in love with the priest, Francis. And yes, I couldn't predict where it was going, but I was here for the ride. I enjoyed the ride. It was so emotional. Kristin knows relationships if they feel like real people and you can really relate to them, and like I said, the dynamics of like the relationships between mother and daughter, between brother and brother, between father and daughter, like it's all there and it's so interesting. But yeah, it gives you a love triangle between two brothers, and you have these very successful heart surgeon in the center of it, and she's been in the center of it for a while now, since they were like in teens. So yeah, and it just kind of like goes from there, and you can just see all this trauma these characters have. But yeah, this book will like wreck you a little bit because you're like, what? So it just really like man, this one pulled on my heartstrings. It did pulled on my heartstrings. Oh man, this was so good. I can't wait to read more Kristin Hannah. And yeah, this one is gonna pull on your heartstrings. That's all I'm gonna say. If you know, you know. Alright, so the next book, if there is another one, The Prom, which is another Joe Hill book. This was a buddy read with my friend. We're trying to do like a buddy read every month. And so yeah, I started this January 31st, finished it February 1st. Well, technically it was like still January, so don't tell nobody. But it was 58 pages. I gave it 5 stars, and once again, this was like really, really creepy. Yeah, if you can just see the cover with the carriage. Like basically you have this couple, and they have like this trauma, this devastating, the wife has this miscarriage, and the husband, he's like obsessed with having kids. He was like obsessed, like he wanted to have a baby so bad. And so now they're moving to this new house, but this town and this house has this superstition to it. It has this cult kind of history around it. You have this very weird so yeah, and then you have this weird creepy forest, and like I said, this weird cult and this history connected to this small town that they're moving into, and it just gets very creepy from there, and it just makes you be like, ugh, just give you the heebie-jeebies, and I'm just like, ugh, no. So that is everything that I read in January, and yes, I'm so excited for February, Black History Month. I'm so excited for all the books that I'm going to be reading in February, all the Black books I'm going to be reading in February. So yes, I will be keeping you guys updated.